focus on 9 tactics that generated over $1 million of ARR for companies, and this is last month, so this is fresh data. My goal is to give you at least one tactic out of these 9 that you guys feel like you could use in your own company in Q3 or Q4 this year. Now, again, I think data sources are always really important, right? So this is where I get my data from. Starting in August of 2017, I started interviewing 1 SaaS founder per day. I see many of you guys, I see Ari in the audience. I know Godard's been on the show many times. James back there, some webinar folks. How many of you guys have been on the show? Have you been brave enough to come on? A couple? Okay. Oh, nice. Alex has come on. Yep, very good. A lot of familiar faces. You guys might recognize some of the other faces here. I mean, that's Johnny at Hoppin in the upper right, pre-revenue, coming on the show. That's obviously a crazy story now. You might recognize Sid from GitLab or Henry Schuck down there in the bottom, CEO of ZoomInfo. The world's top SaaS founders come on the podcast, and I thank all of them for coming on and letting me grill them about equity and valuations and revenue growth rates. So my goal is to take over the next 18 minutes, this 1,000 hours plus of interviews and content that I've done, and give you the best in 18 minutes. Hopefully make it really, really, really worth your time and get you set up to have a great time here at SaaStock USA in Austin, Texas. So let's jump in. This is our blueprint for the next 18 minutes. 3 sections. The first section, we're going to talk about ChatGPT and AI. What's the playbook there, right? Who's winning? The second section we're going to focus on is using social hacking. And the reason I put this section in here a couple days ago is because there's a lot of uncertainty right now in the market, right? Is the U.S. going to get control of the debt ceiling issue, right? Is a Q3 recession coming? Are more banks going to be failing? So I've tried to focus on tactics that don't require a lot of cash. They require this. Most people long-term, the winners, they use this. They don't throw money at the problem. They use creativity to win, right? And so we're going to talk about social hacking. And then lastly, for those of you that are technical in the audience, we're going to talk about winning with engineering, right? Technical genius, technical strategies you can use today. Yes or no? Sound good? All right, let's rock and roll. Section 1, how should you respond to ChatGPT and AI? I will admit, my team is doing nothing. We just love the fact that this is distracting all of our competitors, right? We're not doing much. But what I will tell you are there are some winners that are already generating a lot of revenue with these upcoming tactics. Let me start off with sort of the ecosystem, the old version. I want to talk about Chrome extensions for a second. Raise your hand if you have your own Chrome extension already launched, out of curiosity. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, couple. Here's a couple that I picked out. The next slide is I'm going to overlay their revenue, right? So this is a couple B2B SaaS companies with Chrome extensions. Here's their revenue or their valuations, right? Why do they do this? These are big companies. Why do they spend time doing this? Well, it's because other people's traffic, Google, Chrome store traffic, is more valuable today than other people's money because you can't buy traffic and attention, especially in perfectly competitive marketplaces like Google Ads, where you throw money at an ad, you try and buy traffic, it's more expensive. That's perfectly competitive. Google will give you free traffic, and these folks are really capitalizing on that, including one of the big stories there on the bottom right, which is Loom, right? I interviewed Shahed back in the day, and here's what he had to say about how they launched from 0 to 60K in MRR in under 24 hours using the free signups they generated from the Chrome store.
So, I mean, because we already have the existing user base, and we've been kind of promoting and playing with the idea of Loom Pro. We actually had a coming soon video that we launched, so we're hyping it up with our existing user base. And once Loom Pro had launched, because we're still like in the mid-month, we're expecting anywhere from 3 to 4% of the existing user base of active users converting over to Pro, and then also putting in triggers.
I'm going to cut him off there. So he then followed up with me after the interview and gave me the actual metrics. So this was the day before they launched the paywall. He had 1.2 million free users from Loom, and you just heard him. They were anticipating 3 to 4% converting to a $10 a month paid plan. They ended up converting 6%, right? 6%. They went from 0 to $70,000 of MRR effectively overnight by using somebody else's traffic, a freemium go-to-market, and the Chrome store. That data then enables you to understand where the future of AI is going to live. These companies will be the billion-dollar SaaS companies of tomorrow because they're leveraging AI tools they launch in the Chrome store, other people's traffic, to get a lot of users quickly, right? You see Monica down there with all 3,651 reviews, right? Millions of downloads. These are the hooks that they're getting in. So this is a great free way to take advantage of AI and machine learning and ChatGPT is get your app or some version of your app, a mousetrap, in other people's ecosystems like the Chrome store. Let's talk about section 2, owned media. Raise your hand if you own a podcast, a book, a magazine, you're doing something, media people. Okay, a lot of folks here. This is a screenshot, let me get out of the way. This is a screenshot of our podcast download data. Now, this is a little old. This is from 2020. Today, this show has over 20 million downloads, but we only use 2 tools for this. A lot of people overcomplicate this. It's Zoom and Google Drive. That's it. Most people fail with owned media because it requires discipline to record that damn podcast when you committed to releasing one every Tuesday and Thursday. You will wake up one Monday morning and go, shit, I don't have an episode for tomorrow, what do I do? And then you will miss. And then you go, I missed one, I'm gonna miss 2. Then your audience loses a little bit of trust, and then they stop coming. That's why media and owned media fails. It's not the $5,000 studio. It's the discipline to stick with it. So keep that in mind. Don't go into owned media unless you're going to commit to doing 1,000 episodes with no viewers for at least 3 years. You've got to have that kind of commitment. That's a little exaggeration. But this is the tech stack that we use if you're curious and you want to copy. It's Zoom, plus we drop the Zoom files into Google Drive, and then we use a $5 per episode freelancer off Fiverr to publish them on Libsyn, which is how we then push it out to the iTunes store and other distribution channels. All in per show, we spend under $10 on editing. It's actually not a great edited show. What works is the aggressiveness of the content. People listen because they want to know, is the founder going to share valuable data on the podcast? That's why they listen. Know why people listen to you. Once you have that acorn of content, so it could be the book, the magazine, the podcast episode, you want to think about putting it through a grinder, a content grinder. This is what our grinder looks like. You start with the interview. We get a transcription done. The transcription also pulls out key data points, which automatically builds charts. That then goes live on Latka.com, which is SEO optimized for ranking. Latka.com now gets about 6,000 organic clicks per day from Google when you search, what is Hopin's revenue? Why? Because our source is the CEO's mouth from the podcast interview with charts. So you want to think about taking that one input, which is the 20-minute recording, and getting as many outputs as possible, not launching as many owned media channels as you can. Start going really deep on one with that content machine. Right? And go really hard, right? Go hard, go deep, right? We now book, play hard, right? Really hard. You know what? Go for the magazine. Try the magazine in 2023. But if you're going to do it, go all in, right? Go all in. Go visit the manufacturing plant. Spend $50,000 on the printer. Don't skimp on the binding glue you put in the edge of the magazine, because when it ships to your customers and it falls apart, that looks bad, right? Go all freaking in. This is obsession. It's healthy, I promise. Okay? It's healthy, I promise. But make sure the magazine, right? Make sure whatever the content is working for you, and go deep. That's what that looks like. If you're going to do a book, don't be satisfied with, the #1 rank on Amazon. Go for the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. Go beat Brene Brown. Go beat James Clear, right? Go beat Jocko Williams. Go rank #3 on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list, and then leverage that screenshot to go get on any cable channel that you want. This is social hacking, right? How do you get on any cable channel you want, right? Using what started off as a podcast business. This is what owned media looks like over time, right? Ultimately, what we're doing here is we're doing what AI can't, right? We're doing what AI can't. It's very difficult to do the social engineering, these things, and compete with AI. So remember, AI is going to level the playing field. You want to do things AI can't. Some other great examples of this is Pendo, right? Launching their own user conference, right? Why is Gainsight do Pulse, right? Their event annually? Why did Clayton Mask just relaunch Infusionsoft, well now Keeps, user conference, right? Why did you just relaunch that, right? All of these things give you incredible leverage with your community in terms of your own user conferences, books, podcasts, magazines. And when you have attention, you can pretty much do anything, right? Including hosting your own user conferences or raising a fund, right, as a 30-year-old with a great team and making it happen, right? I spend all my time now raising from banks and giving it to bootstrappers, right? That's all I do, right? But that's the power of owned media. So to summarize part 1 takeaways, Chrome extensions, owned media channels, negative CAC with user conferences, and doing what AI can't. I've got 9 minutes left. I'm going to jump into section 2, social hacking, webinar, churn funnel, and SEO monopoly. This one you're just going to pull your phones out for. It's too much to explain. Take a picture, send it to your marketing person. This is the format we use to plan a webinar. The left side is minute 0, the right side is minute 60. The first trough in the first 5 minutes is, this is the sucky thing about our industry, and then here's how we're better. You're going to build up over time. Here's the worst thing. Here's the worst thing. Then here's the really bad thing about our industry, right? And here's how our product solves it. That's the climax. Then the sales pitch. I see 3 of you are customers already. Unmute them. Why are you paying? Keep them unmuted. It's like HGTV. You're getting your customers to sell the other customers on the webinar for you, right? Leave them unmuted. The second someone unmuted who's a customer stops driving more sales. Oh, we lost Joanne. Sam, I see you purchased. Why did you buy our products? Okay, and then Sam starts selling the whole audience, right? It's like HGTV. Those of you who have been on the webinar, you're going to recognize that I do this. What do these dots mean? What do these dots mean? This is what they mean. People will minimize your webinar They'll mute your audio and only look at your slides, or they just won't interact. They'll tune out over time, right? They're distracted, they're busy. You've got to keep people engaged with these tactics. I'm not going to read them. Take a picture. All this means is every 5 minutes you want to do something that is L. Get them to listen, right? You want to do something that's W. Get them to maximize the minimize. They've already minimized your slides. You spent a lot of time on your slides. Get them to maximize it. And lastly, get them to interact. These are the phrases you want to use to do that. Raise your hand if you've been on one of my webinars and you're going, oh, I've seen him do all of that. Raise your hand high, right? You guys see this. It works. Next, churn funnel. And by the way, like this is what you can create, right, over time. 605 live participants, guests like Henry Schuck. We now upgraded and spend $2,000 per one on a studio, but you don't have to start there. Start it in a closet, right? Let's talk about churn funnels. Raise your hand if you have a marketing funnel. Hopefully everybody raises your hand. Marketing funnel, right? Most people don't have a churn funnel, but we know keeping customers is more important than getting them. So why don't we have churn funnels? Let me show you how ClickFunnels uses their churn funnel to upsell people. You heard me right. You click the cancel button. Russell says, wait, before you go, tell me why. If you say and pick you don't have enough time, he sells you $900 per year one-time consulting plan, which is 3 times the ACV of the software. He just drove his net dollar retention up by phrasing it differently in the churn funnel, right? Who's upselling in their churn funnel? Lastly, make sure you tell people what they're going to lose, right? These red things. Humans don't like losing things. So say if you quit, you're going to lose all your data. You're going to lose your reports. You're going to lose this stuff. That's going to drive them to hit pause account for $9 a month instead of canceling. Then you bill them full again in 30 days, right? And the process starts over. So pause, etc., right? And then again, confirm what they lose and move forward. Third part here of section 2 before we wrap up in the last 6 minutes is SEO. A lot of folks, when they do SEO, they log into SEMrush, they go to Ahrefs, they pick 30 keywords with low competition but medium range traffic and go, I think I can win that. Let's go write a bunch of blog posts. Shake your head if you're guilty. Shake your head if you're guilty. Shake your head if you're guilty, right? Optimize for one keyword only. Abstract.io did this. True or false? That keyword's pretty darn valuable. Conversational intelligence software. You're competing with Gong, SalesLoft, Outreach. Really hard to rank for that. How did Abstract use that one keyword and that one landing page to go from 0 to $2 million in ARR? They went really deep on that one keyword. Super long post, smart title tags, smart H1 tags. I would encourage you to think about if you only focus on one keyword, what would you go after to win to create leverage? These are your part 2 takeaways. I'm going to pause for 15 seconds while you read them. Those of you that tuned out from an audio perspective, when I stopped because it was a pattern break, you then tuned back in. That's an example. I do the same thing on webinars, right? So you got to break that stuff up. Let's wrap up here with section 3. I've got 5 minutes left. How do you win with technical genius? I'm going to start off with Zeb Evans. He does it the better than anybody. Compare pages, I would argue, is like the easiest, cheapest, foolproof way to get SEO traffic that's targeted for your niche. I'm not going to teach this because you can just go to clickup.com, scroll to the footer, and click on their compare pages and copy the format, right? So it's your company versus the other one in your space. Reviews of the other company, then go pull reviews from the internet and stick them under there, right? That's your Title I tag. That starts to bring in traffic. So compare pages. Just focus on 3 or 4 to get started. Number 2, again, we talked about other people's traffic being more valuable than other people's money. How does Blackthorn.io do this? Look at their revenue graph. Pretty impressive. What if I also told you they were bootstrapped? How'd they do it? This page, that's it, folks. That's it. This is where all the sales come from. And if you're not on Salesforce, you can't even sign up for Blackthorn. And it's not a cheap price. It's $12.50 a seat. This is the power of focusing, again, in somebody else's ecosystem, Salesforce, monopolizing a couple keywords, right? A couple keywords, and just dominating that listing with reviews. $20 million in revenue, bootstrapped. Really impressive. He used debt. Next thing I want to touch on is SaaS Plus. Raise your hand if you think you have an idea of what SaaS Plus means. Okay, this is gaining momentum, and more people are understanding this. SaaS Plus means a lot of us identify, we're here at SaaStock, right? We've got all these other SaaS conferences, but really, you guys are a founder and you love your customers. Your identity is not SaaS, it's you're building a great tool. So if you want to be here in 10 years, the best way to increase your longevity is to add a new business model that also serves your customers that might have nothing to do with SaaS. That's SaaS Plus. That's FreightWaves. Teal is media revenue last year, 21 million. Purple is software revenue. Also about 21 million. Split 50-50, SaaS Plus. They have negative CAC. Why? Because the studios on the right drive all the eyeballs that sign up for the software on the left. SaaS Plus. This is an example of SaaS Plus media. You want some other examples of SaaS Plus business models you could consider? Give you a couple here. The most valuable ones today are SaaS Plus presented GMV. It's because you're sitting in the payment flows, you're helping your customers collect money faster, you're taking 2%, right? SaaS Plus GMV. Next one, SaaS Plus Marketplace. You connect lawn cutters with homeowners, right? Well, you build software for both sides, and then you also charge a transaction fee in the middle, right, on each per project. That's Marketplace. Lastly, professional services are freaking fantastic. Don't let any VC tell you anything different. Why? Every person you sell professional service setup fee, their net dollar retention will be higher than everybody else who didn't pay the fee. And we love 140% net dollar retention, right? So professional services. Last two, SaaS Plus IoT. Sell someone a physical device and then upsell software they're never going to churn because they have to throw away the physical device. It feels bad, right? And lastly, freemium. We already talked about Loom. Now, when you find your business model that works, again, Founderpath would love to back you with non-dilutive capital. We love making founders rich. We made Eric really rich. He sold SolveMate to Dixa, 2 great keynotes, by the way, at SaaStock last year in Dublin. They'll probably be there again this year. You don't want to miss it. But again, raised money, built up his balance sheet, kept 100% equity, then flipped it to Dixa and got really rich on the back of his own hustle, but also capital he used from Founderpath to grow his revenue without selling any equity. Right? We've got a $150 million fund we're using to do this. Right? And what I would say is we're trying to be very quick. I hope I don't look too much like a banker. I still try and look cool when I can and relate to founders. I'm also very proud of the fact that we reacted faster than anybody when SVB collapsed.
We're about capitalism, and that's why we're here. But I'm just looking at my data from Right coming on stage. We've wired over $104 million to over 200 software founders. This is remarkable. Right. I don't think anyone else has moved this quickly since Thursday.
And you've got deals with all of them to repay in, 16 months at 12 to 25% interest?
They go between 12 months all the way up to 36 months. They need extra money.
By the way, that was only 3 months ago. I look fucking good, don't I? It's like 30 pounds off, no beard, but when you go on cable, you got to be a certain kind of style, right? You got to play the role. That's part of owned media, but we're very proud of how fast we move. This is my part 3 takeaways, right? Number 1, easiest SEO hack, compare pages. This is a screenshot, by the way, you put in the Slack channel, right? Number 2, use other people's traffic. And number 3, your identity is not SaaS. Think about how you're going to be here in 10 years. It might mean you have to be SaaS plus media or something else. Don't lose the sight of that. Lastly, as I wrap up, folks, this is really the meat slide, right? This is everything with all the tactics in one shot with the proof. If you post this on social and tag SaaStock and Founderpath, LinkedIn or Twitter, I'll immediately DM you when I walk off stage. Give me an hour. I'll DM you directly on that platform, the full slide deck, so you have all this stuff so you can take it away. Lastly, I've got a couple spots left on Saturday at my house. We're getting a bunch of founders together. You can't text this fast, so take a picture of my phone number. Text me sometime today if you're above $2 million in revenue and you want to come have Texas tacos, sit by the pool, and have some fun at my house this Saturday morning. And lastly, I just want to say I'm very thrilled to see Alex and the SaaStock team growing, moving back to the US. We need a massive SaaS conference in the US that is not one that is hosted in a parking lot that gives you burn lines from your lanyards when you're walking around for 8 hours straight. You guys know who I'm talking about if you know who I'm talking about. But guys, my name is Nathan Latka. I'm with Founderpath. Thank you so much for your time today.